Is that a cashmere? Is it cashmere?
It's
The
Primark.
first thing that came up said your sense of smell could predict when you're going to. So that doesn't actually bode very well. I thought it was. I didn't. I thought it was a meme, but apparently not. So
No,
Can
no,
predict when you're going to what?
you're gonna die.
that's real.
It was that woman that could smell people with like, what was it, like Parkinson's or something?
I think you're
She could
thinking
smell
about
them.
a dog.
No, dude, it was a real thing. Like some woman could smell when someone. What was?
You're
I know it was a
definitely
thing.
thinking about a movie with a dog.
I'm 100% not.
I 1000% don't believe that a
Because I've seen the
woman could
movie. You're
smell
thinking about a movie, dude.
Parkinson's. I think she probably
You're
just saw
talking
it.
about them dogs what can smell drugs.
She probably
It's
just
real.
saw it and was like, "This person has Parkinson's."
Look at the
Look,
chat,
if
dude.
you,
This-
if you cannot
Clearly has Parkinson's. He's winking.
swim. Oh God, yeah.
Did you link
Can
it?
you
What
smell
happens
it?
when she gets Parkinson's disease and she can smell it all the time?
Done
He's
then.
fake.
I don't think
He's
you're
not like that again.
guaranteed to
Made a
get
load of
Parkinson's.
educated guesses and never got it wrong, and everyone's just gone, "Oh, guess you can."
Is that a
Thing
guaranteed
like she
thing?
did a study. She did a study with like it was like 10 people and 5 had Parkinson's. She got the 5 who had Parkinson's, but she said someone who didn't have Parkinson's did have it, and then 10 years later they developed Parkinson's. So she was right the whole time.
She wasn't right then, though.
She kind of was because they had Parkinson's. It just wasn't
I
diagnosed.
don't know. I think it sounds like she was going off on tangents, saying everybody had Parkinson's, and the odds were some of them had Parkinson's in 10 years.
Perhaps.
It's easy to get lucky 5 times.
I'm like Oxy.
dude.
I'm like
But
Oxy.
is it easy to get lucky 50% of the time? Hmm.
It's like that. What was that thing where those people were standing behind the curtain and the guy was like, I can read their auras. And they were like, this person has this guy's feeling this guy. And they all came out and he got like 1 right. And it was the same with that dude who thought he could douse metal. And they got like 10 buckets and like some, I think like 3 of them had silver in them. And he found, and more than that had them in like half of them had silver in them. And he found 1 bit. And it's just like, it's not how that works.
Were the buckets metal?
I think the buckets were like plastic or something. I don't remember. This was like 70s. Back in my day.
You weren't alive. No, this is it. You're regressing, aren't you? You were alive.
I know.
You're a ghost. You're a ghost now.
No, he's not a ghost.
Okay,
He's
go.
Benjamin Button.
The ghosty came through the windy, took over your birdie.
Wasn't Benjamin Button old at one point?
I don't know.
Windy, dude.
He came out like 40.
It came
Yeah,
out
he started
old, didn't
regressing. Like, yeah.
Came out old. He came out old. That's the whole point.
He was a baby and he was looking like an old guy. All right, what are we talking about in War Thunder today?
Oh shit, so we
Talk
like
about the new Hilo mode.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we-
we are live. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been live. We were just on a tangent about your nutmeg issues and smelling Parkinson's. I don't understand.
Your
How that-
Alzheimer's and shit. Like, you're
Okay,
going down.
I
It's
got
fine.
listen. I got a topic to start off with, and then we can, kind of go off that. But since it's relative, bullpups. Do you guys guide your bullpups?
Yes.
You guide
No
them.
cap
do that.
this.
You
I
guide
haven't
them.
used them yet.
Okay. What about you, Oxy?
I kind of just let them go.
Mm-hmm.
Do their own.
Okay. All right. Well, whatever else we want to talk about today, that's all I needed to know.
Honestly, but aren't they more effective when you guide them? Like,
I mean, yeah, they can be.
I launched him from further away and then give him a little bit of guidance. And then when I know when they're roughly going to hit, I fuck off. Especially if it's like
Yeah, like
it's like, for example, like SQ9, like in Sim, they run like a squad of like 4 FJs, and they just own top tier. But I know they guide their bulb ups, like at least in Sim, might be easier. I'm not sure, but they just wipe the entire like Russian team off the map. It's just
But
it's
how can you
ridiculous.
guide them if you? Because like FJ pilots had a little camera to see where it was going in
Yeah.
the cockpit. I don't know what it wasn't attached to the missile, but it was like you could see through the plane if you will. Like it was a camera on the front that would allow you to see where this missile was going underneath you.
yeah.
Like them windows in Stukas. I don't know how that would work. Oh, especially if you use virtual cockpit, can't you?
Isn't that one of those like yeah, I don't know if you can. I think it's just first person with that,
No, it's
unless,
just-
you're, like,
no,
unless you're
yeah.
playing as like a gun or whatever. Isn't that one of those like realism versus like playability things where they have
Kind
a
of.
model in
Well,
the extra camera?
Name drop my video there, nice.
My whole idea is I just like to use them as dumbfire rockets. I don't. I don't feel like I need to use them guided because, especially in like the Super Saber, I'm moving so fast that I just feel like I don't need to do it. Everybody made a big stink saying that I should, but like at the end of the day, we all play different. You know, we all play how we want. But
Some people
you
play
know,
wrong.
it's
I will adjust.
yeah, like
them.
you don't ever get a kill. I mean, if I get kills, like that's
Dude, I got
fine.
like 6 kills last night. 40 games, I got like 6 kills. So
Yeah, it's
Yeah, 6 kills, 40 deaths, dude.
that shit's hot. That's hot. Oh, that's hot.
now about so yeah, you use them as like larger tiny Ivans, I guess, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I mean, I understand that you can control them. It was funny though. I just took the meme of it and made a video yesterday and turned off relative control because everybody wanted it off. I think so. I turned it on. Like I went into my settings because I already knew how to guide them because I used to guide them when they first were added because they had the camera, but they don't have the camera anymore. Like the follow camera, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
guide him with the flare, though.
Well, yeah, you can, but why? That's not high speed. Look at that.
It might
look
be
at,
harder with like the Super Saber, but with the FJ, there's really no excuse. I don't think. Because you'll get more kills, like guaranteed.
Yeah, true. True. Well, I think, I don't know. It depends on what tanks you're fighting too. But if there's just tanks on the ground, I think the only way you want to guide them really is, you guide them when you're fighting at AA. Because they sit
that's
still.
true.
Tanks are moving. It's easier to hit them on the move at least if you dumbfire these. I just think, I don't know, I like doing it that way.
Like SG9 or SQ9 or whatever their squad name is. Like for example, like they'll shoot from like 1.5 out in sim, so your SBA can't counter them, and they'll just guide it in, and there's nothing you can really do. It's
Yeah.
smart, and it's I think it's like using the missile too. It's like
Full advantage.
best capabilities, but yeah. Again, like with the Super Saber, I don't know if you even have the time. You're diving at what 800, 900. So
Yeah.
how are you gonna guide that? I don't know.
Well, you just have to guide it from far away. Probably couldn't do it in sim the same
Yeah.
way. I think it'd be tough. But yeah, have you guys tried the new helicopter mode?
Yeah, we were playing it
Yeah.
yesterday, all of us.
Oh, you act like I was here. I
Yeah, well,
was.
everyone except you.
Okay.
was
Did
there.
you guys like it?
I actually do.
All right.
I got killed by AH-1Zs. Like Eric Clapton killed me 42
Eric
times
Clapton.
with guided missiles. So like, it was that aspect kind of sucks. Like being in like a low T or a Cobra, and just getting killed by like heat seekers you can't see coming. But I think like the mode itself it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
It's, I think it has potential. There's a few little problems, I think, mainly with like ground targets and being able to spawn the best helicopters with the best armament right off the bat, and that's a bit of a problem. But it does kind of work for getting lots of RP, but they should probably have left the short realistic mode, because it's like if you get a good match in the helicopter realistic, you can get like 30k. Or you can play for an hour or like an hour and a half in EC and lose and get less, like half that amount. So it's like high risk, high reward, I guess, for your time. So it
I don't
can
know,
be
like,
fun. So go ahead.
I just think, I don't know, from what I've seen, I only got a couple matches that were like 30. I think I got like 35 and then like a 45,000 match with like good SL. But I saw that Pred was like consistently getting 110k. But that's only with a helicopter that has air-to-air missiles. So like you're saying.
I was using the 24V to try and shoot down other players, and what I found a lot was that I was getting hit before I shot them down with the missiles.
Well, Virus almost had a 40 kill game using the
Using the
German
bow.
helicopter. Yeah, like it doesn't have area missiles, but yeah, I think he earned like 100 something.
Yeah. No, I was using the bow with the toes because they go pretty far. I was shooting down helicopters. I think I had like six kills or something and like 20-something ground targets.
He had like 40 air target kills. But
You could
it was
easily do
just-
that, yeah. You could do it. Also, depending on like if you get to the air caps and you know where to where the map is going to change, because it's kind of predictable. It shows where the cap's going to be, and then it shows where that's going to be where the ground battle's going to be after the cap gets won. It's like 3 minutes. So you use that 3 minutes to fly over there, and then wait on the ground targets to spawn, and then take care of the ground targets.
It does seem to mainly be on who knocks out the forward or like the frontmost runways first, because then it takes way too long for the other helicopters to get back and take out the ground targets and cap.
Yeah,
So like, if you get one team just aggressively push those helipads and just knock out all the frontline ones, the other team pretty much loses every time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
agreed.
I think
It's
it's
still a
fun.
better like developed like EC. Like
I think
I
it's
think EC
fun.
is really
Yeah,
good.
like I think it was a good game mode that they introduced.
Definitely more entertaining than.
Yeah. It's
But
like,
to me, like it shows like a larger like I guess larger vision for Gaijin, and in a sense where like they can make these game modes like certain vehicles and expand upon just like instead of just capping, sitting on a point and capping 3 points and just really basic stuff. Like you can actually have like these kind of these large scale events with start with helicopters, but you can move it to aircraft and tanks as well.
Yeah, I think aircraft and tank. I think tank EC now with helicopters would be pretty sick, like at the top tier. Because imagine like 10.0 concurrent battle, but you got air to air missile helicopters shooting each other down. I think they need some type of SAM thing for that.
Well, they'd also really need to fix like the AI with tanks.
Yeah.
Right now, it's
100%.
awful.
Yeah, no, it sucks. It sucks a very bad.
I think the reason why I like it, I guess just as a mode, is that I can just watch a film while I'm doing it. Like there's markers, you can see where people are, dogfighting, strafing ground targets, knocking the bases out, and it's just kind of stress-free, and it's like a nice way to grind it, I guess.
It is. It's like
Certainly nicer than trying to get it in Grand Derby.
Yeah, for sure.
Or that RB helicopter mode that was awful.
You can get a lot if you get the domination, because you get like 10 KRP a cap if you win. That can be really rewarding, but you're not always going to get it, and it's a bit more tedious. But still, they should probably still have the option there, I think.
yeah, agreed.
Like,
That was your
like to
gripe with it,
think
Oxy. I
that,
guess you said like wasn't the most efficient way to grind.
Well, it's just that you can play for an hour and a half and get less RP than you would have got in one good 10-minute RB helicopter. And like in that time, you could probably have, I don't know, if it's a long helicopter match, like you could have about 10 games of heli RB and probably get one match that would get you more RP in the entire EC you did, like only if you lose. But so I think the first match I played in the premium Czech MI24, I got 90 KRP. And that was about an hour, and that was worth it. But if you play for an hour and a half and you lose, it's just you've lost like an hour and a half of your time, and you don't really have much to show for it. And that's I don't know, like you could put people off it a little bit quick. But,
You're like wouldn't you say like you're a min max grinder? Like to me, like the most efficient grinding is always going to be AV. Per hour, you're going to gain the most RP in SL. But like I think people like those large rewards, and
yeah,
it's not as efficient, but it makes it feel like they're gaining more, I guess. But
it's kind of drifted away from arcade now that the RP cap has been removed from RB, like with the time. So you can easily get, like, if you're using like a full premium lineup and you're winning, you can get like 15k a game. And with
Sim, I get a ton
arcade,
now.
it's I think it's erring on the side of RB and Sim again rather than arcade, but still they're all pretty equal, I'd say.
Agreed. So yeah, how about these planes? Have you guys like played more with the planes? Use the
Oh,
F100?
Supersonics.
Yeah.
Like grinding either of them.
What
No, I haven't.
You haven't grinded either of them?
No.
What have you guys been grinding? T72, Bradley, Type 89,
Challenges.
Yeah, actually Bradley for me.
Bradley.
Brado.
I've been going through Spain, Italy. So
Yeah.
far.
Italy.
What have you liked about the Italian tree so far? I just got the first Fiat, so I kind of halted my grinding process for a little while.
They're good.
Aren't you Italian, dude?
The true Italian.
Yeah, I am. Well, I just don't want to play like that, the bullshit Italian tanks.
Yeah, the only real problem with Italy is the lineups. I mean, there's some really pretty decent vehicles. There's nothing super standout, I think. At least like the lower tiers, like below 6.3, I'd say there's nothing that's really tanks that are above average, and an above average tank without a good lineup, it's just it's nothing special really.
Type 90. Japanese player cannot influence top tier the same way another nation can.
pretty much.
Because there's no depth in the lineup.
Yeah.
It's like
Has their Type 89 resolved that at all, or not really?
Well, yeah, to some extent. Of course, it has to.
I've seen a handful of them.
Yeah, but everybody who has one, I've only heard good things about that tank. I have it. I just haven't crewed it yet. I don't have enough SL because I'm a broke bitch.
Yeah, I saw one YouTuber get like a I think a 10 kill game with it.
Yeah, it's
pretty,
really good. You could fire those ATGMs on the move, I'm pretty sure still.
Yeah.
And the gun is, I would say, is probably the best. Like, it feels like not the best out of all the IFVs, but it has like a solid medium between penetration and fire rate. And the way the tank
It's a
moves
35
around
mil,
is
right?
nice. Yeah. But it's got a faster fire rate than the Bradley, I'm pretty sure.
I think so, yeah. About the same. Is it about the same as the Warrior? I want to say.
I think it's faster than
No.
the Warrior too.
Yeah, it's faster than the Warrior.
No. The Warrior is loaded onto your own clips. And this thing is not loaded onto your own clip.
Does it have that radar like the Bradley, or
It's a
No.
bug, I'm pretty sure. They copy and pasted stats from something else, and that was like a legacy thing they left over.
They had to have. It has to be the spaghetti code.
It's the spaghetti code.
It's
It's
always-
Computer code.
It's
But there is precedent. I suppose if you wanna say that the Bradley, if you look at the Bradley mod, you'll see that it has it does have a commander's Unity optic that you could use to guide people in on planes if you really wanted to, or onto other targets. If the Bradley commander's peeking his head, he's got a reflex sight almost. that's slave to the
Rotor
main
said
gun.
that it doesn't have it anymore. It's gone.
It doesn't have it. It doesn't have it. But like there, a vague kind of precedent that you could use to argue that it could do that thing,
Yeah,
as in engaging aircraft, not as in
The younger
having radar.
I know what you mean. I feel you.
now, do you guys think the Type 89 is the best IFE as of right now, or?
Let's see. I'm apprehensive to say it's the best because I haven't played it yet, but I've only heard good stuff from it.
I think I'd say is that how do you really get a concrete answer? Because does a vehicle become better with the lineup it has, like the support, the backup,
It
or is it
does,
just
yeah.
intrinsically as a machine? Because
I think you can judge a machine just by itself, and you don't have to look at the lineup. But
Well, you
the
can.
Type, the
you
Type
can.
90, like by itself, was a great tank, but didn't have lineup support, but it was still a great tank.
it actively hurts its performance in that regard, like overall. So it's just
Hurts its win rate, not
I
its kill to
wouldn't.
death and all
I
that.
wouldn't say it does because you still take the tank out. You can take it out in your first life, and then it's like you're playing any other lineup from that point. But as soon as you die, that's when it would
hurts
hinder.
the
It
performance
hurts
of
the
the
winnage. Yeah, how many wins you get. But I think like you could still go 9-1 in the beginning of every single game theoretically, and say like the Type 90 is. I play.
Yeah,
the
but
best
when you have maybe 2 deaths that you could do that in, or 3 deaths even, because you could use the backup. With an Abrams lineup, you've got essentially 4 deaths that you could make use of.
Yeah, but that's a different like question.
Yeah, it's not knocking
That's-
the vehicle though.
yeah,
it's
it's not knocking-
No, it's not. It's not knocking the vehicle, but like not having a backup, it hurts the player more so than the vehicle.
Hmm.
Using the vehicle as overusing an Abrams or something, you're limiting yourself in that way.
All that hurts is just winning the game and helping your
Yeah.
team. Like that's it. It's not about the vehicle.
said it
though.
influences the player more than
We're
the
just saying if the Type 89 is the best IFE in the game compared to the other IFEs with what you could do had you spawned in it in equal amount of times.
I don't know how competitive the gun is, but I know I do. I play the BMP at times.
can I get hull broken?
Straight
Does do any of you know?
I don't know.
I
The videos
don't,
I've seen of it, I don't think it can.
I don't think it can either from what I've seen, but yeah. I was just saying that
55mm thickest armor.
I guess that there's a bit of a grey area between the lineup a vehicle has that makes it really good. That's all I really brought it up for. But intrinsically, as a vehicle compared to the other IVs, I'm probably inclined to say, just from the hard numbers, it's probably the best one.
Yeah.
It got better this patch. I mean, it only came in this patch, but it got better. It gained an edge as soon as we realized that it could fire its ATGMs on the move.
Yeah, nothing
Also,
else
like,
can. I think it's 2 of
as
them.
well, it's 8.3, isn't it?
Or is that better? every other IFV got worse this patch. This wasn't subject to it.
So
Either you just missed it, or I think Gaijin just
You can
missed like
fire
a.
hearts on the
Yes.
move as well, so
Yeah,
it might
I
be
think it
something to do with the
depends.
missile. I
But
don't have anything to back that up.
You could play the Type 89 at 8.7 with the Type 74 and the STB and the
That's a
80,
good
Type
lineup.
87.
No, that's a good lineup. Type
That would really
74,
bring that.
I was grinding that to... What was I grinding out? Something for Japan, for whatever reason. I was playing the Type 74 with Pred, and we didn't even have to spawn other tanks. We would win the game before, like, it was... Even the
It's a better
STB,
Leo.
yeah, at 7.7, that STB is ridiculous.
Turret's really strong. Like it's mobile.
And it's
Great
got
gun.
a stabilizer at 7.7 with an L.
Its
So,
reload is pretty bad though.
yeah.
10.8.
Yeah, it's like, what is it? How much longer is it than the normal L7?
you
6.7
got-
ace on a Leopard.
So it's
8.7 on a
second.
Senton.
Yeah, it's just a weird balancing factor, I think, because the Type 74 used to have the same thing, and they were like, well, we read this manual, and it says that this can reload faster. And the manual's also relative to the STP as well, apparently, but they're just, doesn't matter.
That was
Yeah,
also
yeah.
Using
before
it
like
for type-
stabilizer were actually introduced as well. It was a balancing
this was-
factor with the
this was
Leo
quite
and the
recent.
STP.
This is quite recently. They changed it. After stabs, but yeah, it's I don't like how they do that with historical sources, and because it's like only sometimes they include the source. Other times it's like we've changed this, and they don't add a source. But kind of, it doesn't react. Well, it doesn't kind of show well on their part that because people are used to them showing a source if they've changed something. If they don't show a source, it's probably going to make people think they've made it up for balancing or whatever. Which intrinsically is that's not a terrible idea. But you kind of lose a little bit of faith in that if they're not showing why they're making the decision, like based on any actual evidence. I don't know why they do that. Like either should be honest about we're just doing this for
We're
balance,
doing this
or
for balance, yeah.
Yeah.
They said that in the past. They're doing it just for balance.
only for reload. But I'm talking about things like armor thickness changes and the
But that's
Persians
obviously
bullshit.
why they're doing it, you know? They're just trying to balance stuff. It's
At
not
the same
100%
time, they're
realistic.
sort of- Yeah, I agree, but at the same time, they're kind of presenting the changes like they are historical. They've always said, apart from reload, everything else is as historical as they can make it, which isn't really correct, and that's the only thing I really have a problem with, and that it's kind of disingenuous because it's not the case. I really, that's the one thing I wish they'd really change. To be honest, it does annoy me a little.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
I think at least they do like a close enough job where it feels historical, like War Thunder, like compared to World of Tanks. Like World of Tanks, they just make up numbers for armor, like thickness and all that, which I don't think War Thunder's at that point. Like
Yeah,
some
but
stuff
they
might be
don't.
just, but
They don't claim
doesn't
to
feel
be
like
historical to the same way that Gaijin and War Thunder does. And that's, on the surface, an arcade game, they're not hiding that. War Thunder at least has the guise of, this is an historical experience with all these things that are real. Like, we're not changing any penetration or armor thickness based on, balance issues like World of Tanks does. But they do make armor changes and horsepower changes, things like that, without actively displaying the source that they got the information from. So it doesn't work in that way. Like they're saying this is historical, but not, it's an unhistorical change. I mean, at least the way I see it, if they're not displaying the source they've used to change something, then it's not historical change. Otherwise, they would definitely include it because they do every other time that it is a historical change.
But couldn't they just make a historical source and then just change, like for horsepower, for example, like just the ground effect change on the tracks and all that, like just it'd keep people happy, I guess, but it would still nerf a vehicle. It's ground resistance, like you really can
Yeah.
I guess make
But
a
they
source
do
for
that
it.
anyway.
That was like Italy.
Yeah.
Remember they didn't
If
have
they
it?
just they can the advantage they have is that they can pick and choose really like what source they use, and 5 sources might say one thing, 5 sources might say another thing, and they can pick between each one whatever suits the current with the Yeah,
The
I know,
M60
like
turret.
yeah, like the Pershing Spall shield that was 88 millimeters or whatever. Maybe there's 5 sources that say it was. Maybe there's 5 sources that say it's 18, which I think it is now. They can pick between each one based on what balance they want to use. And obviously, that's complete. You know, I'm making that up because I don't know what the sources are. I know nothing about that. It's just an example. But they can actively choose that, and I think that's okay. Like that's passable. But when they don't display any source or whatever, it just I don't know. It doesn't quite sit right. I'm not a big fan.
I feel you. Yeah, shit's crazy. It gets I don't know. I don't really care. I just play shit at this point. Like I don't care how historical it really is. It's a video
Yeah.
game at the end of the day. I just like when that they're adding shit like helicopter EC. You know what I mean? It seems
Yeah,
like it's starting to go in the right direction. Maybe we'll get
yeah.
a boat mode that's like an EC type thing that's more fun and bigger. And we have objectives,
Boating
AI,
seems sick, dude.
yeah, AI objectives type of thing, you know?
One
Especially
thing
like
I'd
the
like
Philippines
to
campaign, like with boats. That'd be sick.
Just imagine adding like AI fleets like we talked about, popping in and
Yeah.
you got to go attack them and stuff.
one thing I'd like to bring up is that I'm hoping, at least at the moment, that all the changes they're making to EC, like Air EC, like the airfield modular damage, the way vehicle convoys move relative to the who's winning the match, that kind of thing, is like an April Fool's esque test to implement into proper air.
Yeah.
Because there's no like EC is like like a much smaller scale, and they can afford to tinker with that to find what works before they massively implement it into air. Because I mean, they obviously know it's no one's really enjoying it as much anymore. They're probably not getting as much money out of it as they could. So it would make a lot of sense that this is like a trial for them. Like all the little things like you see patch notes every now and again that it's just loads of changes for EC, like on little dynamics and stuff, and they're all good changes, but not everyone plays it. So I'd kind of like to see if they brought back events for a little bit with those like EC changes, but in like an RB setting, and I think that would be a really good idea to actually properly test the new stuff they're doing, because at the moment it seems really slow. I think if they really pushed it into being like a test thing, like a kind of pseudo test thing, like the April Fool's stuff is, like with the old events, we'd probably have had a much better ARB right now. I think that's what a lot of people want. Because
They have so much to work with ARB.
they do, they really do.
Like there's
And, like-
so many suggestions and so much discussion. They could do something really good. And your sort of idea that they're not doing it because they're going to do it all at once is exciting. But
That's
there's
what
no
I'm
sort
thinking.
of I don't know. They might just leave it. They might just
I
go
think
developing
they're
boats, man.
really-
All
They're really missing out on it, because I know times have changed, but this is like a bit of something that I've noticed. I collect a lot of kind of wartime ephemera, so like paper documents, books and things like that about like planes and things about wartime stuff. And the trend is from at least sort of 1910 to now, the majority of media about vehicles from wartime is aircraft. It's
Yeah.
really, really favored by aircraft, and then it's next it's tanks, then ships. And I think if they made AirRB like super, super popular and like really, really good, they actually nailed it and made it like a 10 out of 10 mode. I think with the amount of
So there's less
popularity-
competition. Is the World of Aircraft or World of Warplanes, whatever. It's flopped again.
Of course, yeah.
World of Warplanes has always been bit shit.
It was better
And
the second
War
time.
Thunder has
I don't know.
always been better. War
Well,
Thunder has always been better than World of Warplanes.
This is
Like,
what
for
I'm curious about, right? So I have a question, and it's not necessarily like War Thunder, but how many people do you think play Ace Combat? Like, how many people do you think are fans of like Ace Combat and shit?
probably
Yeah, a
isn't-
ton.
A ton,
Dude,
right?
honestly, like I sold like War Thunder to my friend at work. I told him it's like, yeah, like if you want to play that crate, it's like Crimson Skies, like, and he was
Crimson
sold on it.
Skies is
Crimson
sick.
Skies,
Yeah,
dude, that was great.
That game was sick.
And he was sold on it. Right away. He like the controls are so simple in War Thunder, but it feels like you're actually flying an aircraft, which is it's unique. Like even an arcade experience, like it's a great game.
Mhm.
Like that's like to me, like War Thunder should be definitely promoting aircraft more because I think for like the standard user, like when they think of World War II, they think of like B-17 raids or they think of that kind of aspect of the combat. They don't think about tanks. Like tanks are, it's more of a niche community, but I think it's a more hardcore community. Like you have more like tankers are like they're different, but if you want to like sell like a War Thunder to like a wide audience, like just sell the aircraft. It's pretty simple.
But
Like who
I
doesn't
think
want to fight people who do
But
one?
they did aircraft first, probably for that reason.
But I think the big thing about that, like what I'm getting at, is where they're going now with these new missiles. They have the possibility of reaching an even bigger audience of people who are fans of like Top Gun. Imagine they put a
Yeah,
F-14
that's
in this
true.
game, and you
Oh,
can use
dude,
the
F-14 versus MiG-35. Sign me
Yo,
up.
how, you know what I mean? How sick is that? Like, there's a possibility of that. Just judging on how fast they've rolled out content, like maybe a year out from now, they could have that. And
How long it'll take to grind one of those vehicles?
I'm not
And how
even
many
worried about
people do
that.
you think
You know
sold
what I
on
mean?
the idea of those vehicles will quit before they?
Well, see, they're adding premiums now that are top tier. If you want to fly a Sabre, you could just fly a Sabre straight out of the box for $50. You could probably fly a Tomcat as a tier 8 premium straight out of the box. You, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
by the time they add this stuff, that's gonna be how it's gonna work. And I'm sure the RP will go down, or they could do something where there's like a new entrance to the tree where you could just start grinding at like tier 5 on up, because there's a stigma and this argument that people will say, you know, you need to grind through the entire tree to play this, but at top tier it plays completely different. The game is completely different. You can learn how to play War Thunder without playing low tier. Now,
Yeah.
if you just jumped into like an XM1, you'd have a different experience than low tier.
Really a different game.
It's a
You
different
know
game.
what's gonna if they allow entry at that tier, you know what's gonna happen is that it will be like dropping goldfish into a pool of sharks, like dropping new
Well,
players, brand new players. Even now, like the Sabre F-35 and the premium.
Yeah, but that's
jets,
what I
it's like
think
you
is
drop all these top tier jet players that have been playing since the start. It's like
I think
you're
there's
like,
a huge stigma though that's like War Thunder is that hard to learn. It's really
well, they will
not.
learn.
Yeah,
They'll learn,
exactly. It's
absolutely,
not
but you have to be
that.
conscious of stuff that's going to make people quit.
Yeah, but I don't
I
Think
think.
how
think those
easily
jets
people
are easier
rage,
to
though.
learn than like the
But
current era of jets.
think about Tarkov. I mean, we talk about this game. We like Tarkov. How hard it that is. That is the epitome of a game that throws you in and says doesn't teach you anything really. Doesn't help you with anything. If they have some good tutorials, people would be fine. I think coming in at a higher tier because it is a different game. Like you can learn just about that. You don't even have to worry about the low tier stuff at all. You're just playing what you want. I mean, this is hypothetical for like far away, of course, but
Yeah, but for like, let's say for example, right? Like they introduced like a Jolly Rogers F-14, which I would buy.
hmm
People who purchase that aircraft, I think there's like a lower skill ceiling for that era of aircraft than the current.
they've already
era. Like,
played Ace Combat. That's what I'm saying. Like people, they've already played other games about jets of this era. They will understand that. Oh, I got some missiles that can lock on. I'll learn how to do it through this help tutorial. This is how I like set up my controls and go fast. And then like that's about it. Like you don't really need much else. I don't think. It's
Yeah.
there's a lot of maneuvering, but by that time and by the time they add stuff like that, you can even make the argument that the people who haven't played that jet don't know how to play it yet either. I've been trying for the past 2 weeks to try to learn how to play top tier with these new jets, and I don't know how to do it yet. So, you know, I'm not a shark, but I've been playing the game for far too long. You know what I mean? In that
Yeah.
analogy. So it's like I think that's the same thing. Even the good players need to relearn how to use this stuff because it's so different.
But I also think we're in like the most complex era of jets. Like we're like the supersonic era. Like the missiles aren't good yet, and dogfighting is still king. So you're like in that middle ground where the fast movers aren't as fast as they should be yet because the technology isn't there. The missiles aren't as good as they should be yet, but like you still have to get guns on target and shoot. So like it's even if you were like a shark, you'd be like a great jet pilot. Like you still have vulnerabilities right now, where like you take an F-14, it's fire and forget at that point. Like it's a way different combat. It's just easier to like I think grasp for like a newer player. But we'll eventually reach there. But
Like the
Like,
April
what?
Fool's event, right? When they added
Yeah.
tanks and helicopters, everybody kind of just was figuring it out, and then they started doing it. You know what I mean? Because it's easy. You have a really high pen round. Some parts of the tank, absolutely no go. Some parts of the tank, absolute automatic pen. You know, and then once you like figure that out, That's it. There's not like a jumbo at top tier. There's no tank is really like the jumbo at top tier, for example. Like if you run into a jumbo and you don't have the round that can pen it, you have to shoot it in the nipple. Like there's no tank.
Road wheel.
Yeah, or the road wheel if it's angled a little bit. But you don't have a tank like that really at top tier. It's either lower front plate, side, breach. You know, everything works that way. You never want to hit like the front plate. So I don't know. I just think for planes and stuff, it'd be cool. And they're definitely teasing subs. We know that they're probably going to come now too. And I think that's probably the next thing that they're really going to work on, which is sad. But I think they're coming out with
boring,
the subs.
Actually.
It's
Like,
boring
World War II
unless they
subs were shitty.
figure out how to make it work with the boats. Then it's going to be pretty boring. But if they do make World War II subs, that would be really fun, I think.
Sonar was talking about it, and he was saying basically the convoy mode is the only game
Yeah.
with these subs in.
But people don't understand, like, World War II subs actually sucked as submarines. Like, they were
they did.
They were never they weren't used really to attack like destroyers and stuff. That being said, one of my ancestors died to a sub attack he was on a destroyer, on a Fletcher class destroyer in the North Atlantic, and he got torpedoed because they thought it was it. The Germans in their after action report thought that it was a cargo ship, so they sunk a destroyer thinking it was a cargo ship, but they meant to sink a cargo ship.
Can we get an FN jet, please?
Yeah.
No, I'm just providing an example. Like it happened, but it wasn't intentional so much to sink
Will you ever
military
play,
vessels as it was to sink supplies.
What are those Silent Hunter? You ever play Silent Hunter?
Never played it, but I've seen it.
Okay, that's why I'm not excited about subs, because I played Silent Hunter and it's like it's like
boring.
Yeah, you're going to work. You pull out a map and you're like, fuck, all right, I'm gonna plan this route for my ship for the next 3 weeks, and then you like plan it around in the Atlantic, and then you find it's so boring though.
There's no action. Like
there's no action. The action happens in like 10 seconds. And then the anticipation, it takes so long for a torpedo to hit that it's just like, oh my god.
First of all, like, submarines were super vulnerable in World War II. Like, people don't get it. Like, you had to resurface for air and refuel. Like, you look at the sub losses from 43 to 45, or 43 to 44 for the Germans. They lost 1,000 submarines. Like,
pretty much all of them.
They weren't. Yeah, like, just astronomical losses. But at the same time, it was just I don't know. Submarines are cool. I hope Gaijin doesn't develop them because it's just gonna be boring. Even Cold War subs, like you have the hunter killers and stuff like that, like sub versus sub. But yeah, even that's kind of boring.
I didn't enjoy the sub gameplay, the April Fool's sub gameplay.
No,
It was a bit weird.
I don't think it. Like I knew a few people did, but it was a flop. I think.
I think it was fun and it was interesting to
concept, see. Absolutely brilliant concept, but
it's just boring. That's
play out well.
It's just always going to be boring. Like that's just. I mean, some people like that. Like people in chat are saying that they like Silent Hunter. I like that game too, but it is boring. Like, it's not the same feeling. Now just think about that boring gameplay with no modules on your submarine, grinding it for 45 fucking days.
How much of that do you think though, is like the percentage of like everyone is a cross section who likes World War II and the machines in World War II. What percentage do you think likes submarines the most? Do you think that like the failure, I guess the relative failure of that April Fool's event was because no one was really that invested in subs in the first place? Not exactly that the mode itself wasn't very good, like the way it worked wasn't very good, but that no one was really that engaged with the machines they were using. Because I'd say it's probably less than 1%. It's got to be for submarines.
I feel like I was just launching missiles or launching torps and just crossing my fingers, basically, guiding them into the general area of the enemy spawn, and that's basically what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
extrapolate that onto a map that's bigger with actual ships on it and stuff. Does that get any better? I don't know. But like that would be what you would call a random death mechanic, I think. If you've got like if you're sailing Cold War ships about the place, and then suddenly a guided torpedo comes plowing into you because you're a ship, you can't hide your sonar. Yeah,
it makes sense.
Don't get me wrong, I love putting on like the Wolf Pack of the Sea by Sabaton, and I would grind out my World War II subs, but it's gonna be so boring. It's just like, I hope they don't waste development time. Like, people might be like attached to like those World War II subs, like, oh, they kind of look like ships. It's gonna be fun, and you know, they
I
saw a
do
lot of
kind
combat.
of want to ride around on surface level with the 88 and shoot at boats. I think it'd be cool.
Like, it looks cool, but it's gonna be super boring. Like, it's just you're just
Unless
gonna
they
hear
add the
plinking and-
I-400, that would be fucking sick, and you can launch
Yeah, that
planes out
actually,
of
yeah.
it. So this is where I get too far ahead of myself, though. I just want
That
everything.
vehicle, yeah.
If I could just
Yeah, I think
change.
Gaijin will eventually add everything, but at the same time, I think they should add like the next tier jets to match the tanks instead of wasting time with sub.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, this is probably a bit of a big tangent, but it's something that I've wanted to talk about for a while, and it's about the best way, I guess, to approach Gaijin for changing something in the game. The wording's probably not completely right, but what I mean is that right now the most effective way to get a change made is just have a tantrum and throw your toys out the pram and downvote every YouTube video they make loads of Reddit posts, hassle the community managers and stuff. And yeah, it gets stuff done, but it makes everyone look like kids, you know, like, and I think it instills a bad mindset in the community that if we have if we have enough of a tantrum collectively, we'll get what we want. And I really don't think that's the best way to go, like, for anyone. It doesn't look good on Gaijin, doesn't look good on the community, and it's just inherently kind of childish, and I don't agree with it. I don't want to be a part of it, but it's the most effective way to get something quite big changed. And
Well,
it's
right,
like,
like it talked to Booty, who's part of the player council. Like they took the the players, quote unquote players, like advice, and they never made any changes. So if the
that
tantrum
was
is actually working, like, isn't it like whose fault is that?
no, but it's not about whose fault it is like that. It's just what better system can they reliably come up with for fixing these sort of things, or at least changing things how they work currently? Because right now, like, like a bunch of high school kids like having a strop on Reddit is getting stuff changed, and like, does that look good on you as a company? Does that look good on the community? What's the best way to actually approach
Take
having
advice from
reasonable
the
change?
Angle Better podcast. I think that would
They
be
do.
fantastic.
They do. They
actually
did.
been some changes,
they
yeah.
do listen to what the content partners say, and the
They
content
do.
partners, when they were gonna implement that thing with tanks, and everyone said no, please don't do this. That's a bad idea. Didn't implement it, did they?
But
I don't-
Not the way they were
like
going
that.
to.
What, that thing
Yeah.
with tanks? What are you talking about?
That having a black barrel you could still fire with, having a black breech you could still fire with.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a good point actually.
They were gonna do that, and then we were like, nope, stop that. Stop
shit
that right
would've been
now.
hot.
And they didn't. And then they did.
I would have liked it.
It's just like I kind of like that. So, because content creators obviously put time into what they do, they play the game a lot, they know about it. But then again, it's just you have people who are content creators who, not saying anyone specifically, but who don't really know how the game works, and the content that they make isn't exactly.
Well, some people aren't geared towards like gameplay. Some
No,
people are geared
exactly.
towards
It's not
having fun
really-
and making like memes and stuff.
Yeah. And if Gaijin are basing decisions off what those people say, it's not really that well founded. But then at the same time, you go to esport players or whatever who are really good at the game, they know how to exploit it, they know what the best things to do all the time is, they're really good at the game. They're not the ideal
Yeah,
spot
that's also
either.
not, because they're
Because
gonna
it-
try to just add stuff. Like they don't even might
Yeah.
not even care about like historical stuff. They don't care about. They just
Yeah,
care about
straight
the
balance
gameplay.
it.
They're the purest gameplay people.
One thing that I kind of, I was thinking about this, and it's like, if you're like a really good player, you're like actually, a 1% of the 1%, you're one of those people. And if Gaijin think we'll get the best players to decide how things work, like maybe for balance or whatever, a really good player, like the best of the best
Just be
players,
like, give me a spawn trap.
like, what I mean is the
Yeah.
best of the best can make basically any vehicle in the game work. I mean, I play the game a lot, and I can probably say I can make any vehicle work reasonably well to where I'm going to be positive in it. But if that was my mindset, I'd say, well, all these vehicles are fine. I can make them work. But that doesn't mean that the general player, like the majority of the player base, can make a vehicle perform as well as someone who is as sad as me and who plays every day can actually make it work. So there needs to be for this to work, I think, to actually get a reasonable kind of condensed, varied bit of feedback, it probably needs to be handpicked from everyone from every different walk
That's
of
what
the
the player
game.
council was.
It wasn't. That was a fad completely. That's not even really comparable at all. And even so, like if it was a voting thing, like vote for you want in, that wouldn't work either.
You had
You just
competitive
have-
players, you had average players, like you had everything in that. And
You didn't really. That's not how it worked. That even so, it's just that there's no. The thing is, as far as I know, no like general game company functions off changing things in the game based on a few select members of the community, what they say. It's all from the developers, like it should be, really. Excuse me. If the community of every game chose how it would develop and evolve, it probably wouldn't end up that good. Like at least generally, maybe in a few instances it would, but I don't think it would overall. But with a game like War Thunder, notably the developers are not quite as clued in, I think, as even people who play casually. You know, like the whole like APCR was a balancing factor for how many years? You know, how many people use it? You know, like
Yeah.
so I think this community could probably benefit with a bit of input, like reliable input from people, you know, trusted people who play the game and can give their own input. But it's just you can't really vote people in because it would be biased and you wouldn't really get the right
Popularity
cross
votes, yeah.
section. Yeah, and it couldn't be like we'll pick this person randomly because it wouldn't be over like a certain cross section, and you know it would. What do you guys think would be the best way? Like hypothetically, if Gaijin was saying, right, we want to get members of the community to at least have some input on changes that we make and what direction to go in. We're not going to follow exactly what they say, but just as a little bit of friendly advice from people who care about what we make. What do you guys think would be the best way to actually get those people
Well,
into this system?
so it's kind of not going to answer your question 100%. It's just kind of a different idea that I had. But I think if some of the devs played War Thunder with some people like us and some of the other content creators and maybe some people from the community, like you're saying, like pick some people out. And they, you know, just played, not necessarily to make a stream, not necessarily to make, like, just played a little bit and had some discussions about things that are going on in the game while they're both experiencing it. Could kind of open the devs' eyes towards some things. And, you know, when they're making it, they could see some things that are happening in front of them. They'll be like, oh, I know how to fix this. Or I know how to change this. This is something that's, you know, agitating these people.
Yeah.
Oh, why is the barbed wire eating shells? Maybe we could fix this. That's a good idea. You know, it's just things like that.
it's
Like
like
little
if they-
things that if people are playing with me. That was the whole idea with that Sean thing that went down. I was like, I just wanted him to play an AMX 40 with me. Stock. Like, that was it. And that would be a good, like, that would.
I want to apologize for not being very professional.
Well,
Free
That
Would
Abrams
resolve
in the
so many
background.
issues, though.
you know? That's,
Okay, right. This is a bit of a meta comment, right? So when we do eventually we ever get guests or whatever on this, I would really like to get somebody like maybe not Sean, maybe Sean, someone in the community like that, and have them play like a stock top tier with us all together as a squad,
Mhm.
and kind of
You
just
don't
to see
say
how
that,
well
but now they're never going to join.
well that in itself would save effort and still prove the point, wouldn't it?
yes.
Like
It's good, yeah, good point, yeah.
clearly, you know, like if there's a problem, you couldn't have some like I'm not like I like Sean. Me and Sean used to talk quite a lot. We'd play together, whatever. If we
Yeah,
got
sure.
Sean, whatever, and we all of us played the MX40 stock together, and I don't think someone like Sean could at the end of like an hour session of playing it could say this is fine. I don't think anyone higher up in Gaijin would realistically say that without like blatantly lying.
Yeah.
So I agree. Like if you made a dev play on Berlin for 20 matches, you know, with firing heat FS and getting your stuff like stuck in weird hitboxes and barbed wire, they'd probably change something because they can see it and think, okay, this is obviously a problem.
Or
but they're
they'd
not
get
playing
large
it.
Poland 5 times in a row with me, and I'd be screaming my fucking head off. And they'd be
Guys,
like,
we
"Well,
have this
maybe we
talk
could have."
before.
I'm saying,
Like, you wanted to introduce like a player console in a sense, but doesn't like the content creator like Discord kind of like fill that role right now, or?
I think Gaijin, I have respect for Gaijin that they're very smart with their business decisions and basically everything. They're not going to listen to anyone in the content Discord. 'Cause like I said before, it's like you can have 5,000 subscribers and have no idea how the game works and have a few lucky, a few lucky videos. That doesn't make somebody like the paragon of intellect on the game. And I think they know that, so they're not going to think, they're not going to take that advice straight on, like straight on the nose. Like obviously, there's probably I don't know how they work. Maybe they forward everything, and people can say, and like the devs can say, bad, 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 consider it, whatever. I think it doesn't go as far as they probably imagine because they're smart enough to know that just because you have how many ever subscribers, like I don't mean this to say anything wrong about people who make say montages or like cinematics or whatever. Those videos are really good, they're really well done, and they're really fun to watch. But should Gaijin listen to people who do that at the same level as people who play it's like people who like me and Slick and Kath, like all of us, like we play, I guess, for different reasons than those people. So do
well,
you
we
think that
could.
they?
You might just not know either. The person who makes the montages could know just as much about the stuff, but they don't even.
Yeah,
They don't talk about
yeah,
it
but
or anything.
on a surface level,
Yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean. Like,
You'd have to play a lot to get those montages as well.
of course, but a lot of them are done in custom battles, but don't tell anyone. But
No.
but it's that they can't, it can't be general like that. Otherwise, you might as well just ask the community straight off. Like if you asked all those stat padders or whatever from like the top 5 squads and like ARB, how do we do the game? You obviously know how it works because you do really well. The game will be worse off because they don't understand how balance works overall across all types of. You get the top 5 players in the game for air and like aircraft, tanks, whatever. They wouldn't be able to balance the game realistically because to people like that, they can make everything work. Obviously, of course, they could probably say this works more than this works more than this works less, whatever. But they wouldn't be able to create like a fine-tuned balance because it's too specific. But like flipping it, if you make it too general, there's so many problems that come from it. And I don't really know what the best way to get a complete, unbiased cross section of people who care enough about the game and are from different aspects of it enough would be to actually get a really good condensed pocket of feedback for the developers. I don't know how that could best be done.
I think something I did come up with. I think you said they already have them to some degree. Is for what, however, through vetting, through suggestions from people who are already prominent in the community, a bunch of players who they have access to the dev server maybe 2 weeks before everyone else, or whatever. They have more or less consistent access to the dev server, and they can iterate these things under an NDA. So obviously they're not passing this information out, but under an NDA, under threat of their account or something. But for the sake of keeping everything shim. But then they could provide this feedback and say, this works, this doesn't work, we're doing this. Okay, guys, we're doing this today. We're going to test this vehicle in this environment. Like they could have this structured stuff and iterate better rather than just because content partners, we get access to the dev, we can do everything. And then it goes, but we don't give everyone that because we want everyone to test the lower tier stuff as well. But nobody tests the lower tier stuff patch to patch. Everyone just gets to the new stuff and does that. So having people who are in that vein, iterating stuff, Gaijin wants some feedback on this particular PR in this particular place, let's do it in a controlled environment. That could benefit them a lot. I think,
I mean, this could be completely wrong, but as far as I know, they do that internally, but internally to the extent that it's the same people who play the games the level that the devs do, where they don't really play that much. But I think they do it, and I think they really should expand.
Some good super
But, like-
testers would be dope. I'd do it. I wouldn't talk about anything that I
So-
saw. I'd love to
Yeah.
test things out and like.
A good example of this, I'd say, is that say if you got 30 super testers on the dev server, if they played the Italian M36B1, the Sherman with the Jackson turret,
Mhm.
and that was at 6.7, if I think they had people playing it and testing it against other things, I don't think any of them would really say this is a 6.7 or even 6.3 vehicle. They'd probably all say 5.7 at a push 6.0.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and it would save a lot of problems like that because again, like this isn't something I can actually say concrete myself, but I know there's a little bit of like, I don't know what the right word is, but there's a little bit of stubbornness on the devs' part when they balance stuff. Like if they make a decision, everyone's like, "This is terrible. What are you doing? You're all stupid." They'll say, "Well, if we're all stupid, we just won't do it. We won't change anything."
Super saver. Like, come on.
It's like
Overwhelming
if
armament,
any of
2
you
years.
if any of you remember when the H8Ks came out, the Japanese four-engine bomber, there was a premium and non-premium. Everybody said, 'cause I think they wanted it to be in the main tree. I think this might be wrong. I think there was only one initially, and the community had a massive strop and said, "Why is this a premium? We all wanted it in the main tree. You're all stupid. Why have you done? Why have you made this decision?" And their response was, "Well, we won't release it then." And they didn't release it in the update, and they held it back
Yeah.
because of and on part one, that's probably a bit of stubbornness, but in the end, they did make a mainline version and a premium version, so that's a benefit in that setup in that case. But even so, there's a lot of stubbornness on that part, and I think that really comes through. That
It's an ego thing, right?
I think it is. I don't want to assume that because that could be completely wrong. We don't know how they work internally, but I'd like to think that's probably how it is, and I think they probably have a little bit of a grudge against that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like it's where
Again, like
where
the
does
260 versus Saber, like it fought like a 260 fought the Saber for people to understand for 3 years, and Gaijin's excuse was overwhelming armament. Like it was just like, oh, it has 30 mil, so it has better armament. It's
The
like
MiG
it's not competitive
fighting
at all.
props.
Yeah, that as well. That was only like a year and a half or 2 years, but they held on to the 262 and they combated the community for years just because. To me, it was a straight ego thing. Like it went from okay, it has good armament, it's fine, to oh, it can outturn the Saber. It's like, well, these you don't not supposed to be turn fighting in jets, but whatever. It's probably because they don't play the game that much, but at the same time, they just kind of dug their heels in and fought the community for 3 years, and it was just weird. But eventually got fixed.
it's like if you got like a cross section or whatever, say you got 10 people who play the game and experience vehicles, and then you get 10 people who look at the hard numbers, the cold data of how the stat cards, bad example, they're all mashed anyway. You know what I mean? If you got 10 people who played a vehicle and 10 people who looked at the stats of the vehicle, which are, in this imaginary situation, those are probably the devs, they would have very, very different ideas on how something should be balanced, improved, or nerfed, obviously relative to the vehicle. But that's where the disconnect is. If you look at, I don't know, like a statistic like a vehicle isn't that fast or whatever, and it's balanced on being a fast vehicle. If in practice, reload's really good, armament's really good, this makes the vehicle work. But if you're looking at the hard data, we balanced it on its speed, it's not really that fast, maybe we should nerf it. I don't know, just like that's a really bad example, but you know what I mean. Using those two kind of schools of thought on this, they don't create a good enough parallel to balance something, like just by using one of them. And I mean, from what I can see and what I'm assuming, Gaijin kind of go off the hard numbers, like APCR, hard numbers, lots of penetration. That means it's good, surely. Wow, this can pen whatever. What an amazing vehicle, what an amazing round. We should put this at a very high BR. What a stunning example of a machine.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily make it work.
Absolutely fantastic. I love it.
Hanomag.
JPZ 4.5, it's
and that's what Hanomag. Until you get the heat, that thing is just bumbling around and crying.
Yeah, it sucks. It actually scarred me for life. The stock grind on that
not a good
scarred
sign.
me for life. I still won't play it.
That's what the Leo A1 was, wasn't it? Just like based, it was balanced based on its APFSDS or whatever. Its last BR was it
Oh,
9.0?
9.0. Kind of, I would say. They put it there. I don't know why they actually put it there. To tell you the truth, didn't really make much sense. And I don't know why the 121 is at 8.7 now.
It's because it's a premium, I'd
I-
probably say.
Yeah, but then, I mean, I guess, yeah. That's like the M26 in the Italian tree, the B1, the A1 or the whatever one is, the main tree has APCR, a
Yeah,
better
A1.
APCR round, so that's at 6.7 instead of 6.3. And the premium one's at 6.3. But nobody's
Yeah,
gonna
it's
use
like-
that better APCR round.
It has a different cannon as well, though.
Is it
but
better?
It's
it's
exactly
it's
the
a
same.
little. You get an extra 10, 20 mil of pen on the AP, and an extra 10 roughly on the AP, like the APHE.
You get 3
But-
millimeters of extra pen at 10 meters and 0 degrees.
And
I
it's
also
like,
don't want to get into it, but Gaijin models APC are completely wrong. Like if you look at any ballistic report, it's just they should be able to pen at angles.
yeah,
that are
I've
pretty sharp.
seen a fair few individual documents saying like is it T45? And that's the 75. The 90 mil APCR should be able to pen
Yeah.
Panther's upper front plate,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and I can't. It's like that's. I think
you could
I
actually
think they're
pen the
aware of
King Tiger's upper front plate from like 100 meters, which there's no chance you could do that in game. Which is like
no.
I don't know.
Well, the Germans, like, they made a limited number of Panzer Granate 40s, didn't they? And they were
Well,
prized
they had no
rounds.
tungsten. That's just because they had no tungsten.
They
It's
were,
like I don't get that either, because it's like on certain vehicles, like ATGMs are limited. They have different reload speeds, whatever. Like on T64s, and I think the Sheridan and the Starship, they have a set like 10. I think it's 10 ATGMs. Why don't they stop using APCR as a balancing factor and just limit the amount you can take if they're really that dead set on using it as a balancing factor? I don't get why they haven't done that.
Because they can clearly
Because
do
that's-
that. I mean,
they can. They
ATGMs
really
are
easily
limited,
can.
yeah.
Like I think their APCR is so, and maybe it's really old the way it worked. Maybe it's legacy and the extent they can't easily change it. Whatever. I don't know. I don't know how that works. But if that's the case, surely
Yeah.
they can stop it by doing it like that. But it's like I don't know. It's odd. It's odd why they're still using it.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
it has to come down to them being weirdly stubborn, or they don't play the game and don't see why it doesn't work. Like, how often have any of you used the APCR on the purging?
I don't know. I haven't used
Never.
APCR in
well, not never.
years.
And
Actually,
like
never.
the APCR on the later Panthers, the A and the G and the F. Have you ever used it?
Nope.
When it was
No
the
one.
best round of the game, I used it, but since then,
Yeah.
never used it.
Now it's like who's ever used it? Whatever you can pen with your standard APHE, you can pen. Whatever you can pen with the APCR, you can pen with the APHE is what I mean. Apart from a few kind of rare cases, but it's not a balancing factor. It should be given to vehicles as a way to deal with up tiers, sure, but it shouldn't be a way. It shouldn't be balancing them like that. It should be more as like a little helping hand than this makes the vehicle be able to fight better machines. It should be this is how you deal with certain machines you can face, but you know what I mean?
I
It
have a
just-
couple of them, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Balancing around repair costs. What do you
Mm.
think?
I don't agree with it. It's like a bad player can take out the Ferdinand and they'd probably die because they don't know where to put it. But you take a good player who knows where to put the Ferdinand, they will wipe the floor every single game. So it limits the amount of people doing well, but it doesn't limit the vehicle's kind of overall effectiveness. So
It's also
I
it's also
think,
bad because like the game always changes, and like you have a vehicle that's
Yeah.
good one patch and it's crappy the next. So like
Yeah.
you have to deal with that repair costs. Like to use that vehicle later on, it
Yeah.
really doesn't.
I think they do use it as a cheap balancing factor, but only really in the same way they use add-on armor to a vehicle that they can't change the BR of, but they know it needs to be more effective.
Yeah.
So it's like the Shermans, like the M4A2, whatever. They added loads of add-on armor to that, So if they didn't down tier that to 3.7, like I still think it should be 4.0. But regardless, they can't like well, in my universe they can't down tier it to 3.7. So give it lots of track armor to make it more effective at its BR, because at 3.7 it becomes too good. And it's the same sort of thing with repair cost. They can't like its effectiveness either becomes really like way too good or way too poor if they change its BR. So they need to artificially, to an extent, make it either better or worse at its current BR, either by like a repair cost or add-on armor if they're going to make it better. And it kind of works as like a stopgap solution, but they can do better than that. It doesn't.
I
It's
don't
not.
think that affecting progression is the best way to balance
No,
a vehicle.
not at
I
all.
don't think that those two go hand in hand. Like economy and economic changes, which is what repair costs are, doesn't influence the game. It doesn't influence every time you see that vehicle, is it overperforming or underperforming?
But Kat, here's
Do
the
you
thing,
see what I
right?
mean?
It doesn't retain players, but at the same time, doesn't it force newer players and older players to buy pre?
It could dissuade some people who do not have enough money to do well in a vehicle consistently well, who don't have enough money to repair a vehicle a lot. It could dissuade them from playing it, but dissuading them from playing it doesn't influence its performance in game.
Yeah,
Yeah, true.
and at the same time, the sort of players that wouldn't play a vehicle based on not having enough money to repair it are probably not the sort of players who are
Who are going to
capable
make the
enough
most
to
of
make
it?
that vehicle work. It's like,
They'll buy a premium, right?
well, it,
No,
to use
it's not really what
to
we're
use
talking about.
like, well, like I don't want this to come across arrogant. I know
No.
I'm pretty good at the game. If I take out the Ferdinand, I can play it an entire day and have like I can destroy people with it. You know, no one can really. Yeah, if I'm at a good BR, no one can touch me. I have millions and millions of lines backed up because I play all the time. It's not going to dissuade me from playing it if that was my goal to win every match and have like a really, you know, if I wanted to like completely wipe out teams, I'd play that all day. And if I was a good player, there would be nothing stopping me from doing that. And that, I think, intrinsically makes their system of cost balance not work.
It doesn't work. It's not. I never
Like,
stopped playing something because it costs money in game. I never stopped shooting Heat FS because it costs more. I never, you know what I mean? I don't have a lot of money in War Thunder though.
I don't
myself.
I don't use premium rounds, but that's not not premium rounds, but 900 Silver Lions, finger
gold
grits,
my
lol pen
ammo.
stuff. Nice finger. 900 Silver Lion stuff at top tier. I don't use it, but that's not so much because it's 900 Silver Lions per shot. It's more so because I don't need it. If you know the weak spots top tier, you don't need those rounds. You do not.
Yeah,
need
that's fair.
Cat 4 is just a big baller.
But you have people who go, "Oh, I can't make any money at top tier. I'm losing money at top tier constantly." You find out they're
It's
firing
invincible.
900 Silver Lions every single time they fucking left click, and they're not killing people consistently.
Yeah, well that's all
With
it
those
is. If
900
you
Silver
click,
Lions, it's like
this is how it works. Like if you click on tanks, you make money. If you don't click on tanks or you click on things that aren't tanks, you lose money.
Yeah, it's that simple, really.
So just click on tanks and angle better. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. No, I'm kidding.
We're out.
All right, we're out. Nah, but I never had a thing with repair costs. People complain about repair costs. It's like, yeah, no. So my favorite was the Abrams. People it's like, what do you think about the Abrams repair cost? Yo, it costs too much. This shit costs way too much. I'd be like, dude, it's the best fucking tank in the game. Relax, all right? It's hard to die in.
Is it? Or is the lineup the best?
It's the best
Kinda-
tank in the game. The Abrams is undoubtedly the best tank in the game.
it's,
Okay,
Then
I'm
that's
waiting.
cool.
I will wait to hear everybody's feelings about that.
I heard it
I
can't be
don't
killed for
see-
fun, but I don't know.
The fastest reload, most survivable tank, with the cheapest round that's effective at top tier, which is its stock round.
Cat made a
Has
good
a fast
argument last
reload.
night. It has like the same weak points as like the
Challenger.
Challenger. But,
It has what?
yeah, it's faster. It has the same weak
weak
points
as
as
the Challenger.
but, like,
Same
weaker
reload or
return.
weak spots? Yeah, no,
Weak
but the
spots.
Challenger is way less survivable than the Abrams.
Mm,
That's a lie if you think
I
it's
don't know
not.
about that.
And also in a race, it's twice the speed. turret
It's- yeah,
rotation's
but you-
better, and
it's
so
not-
is track traverse. No, it's just
You
the
can't-
Challenger's
you
a
can't take
sniper.
individual things. and
Challenger
measure
also
them
has
up
a
against
slower
one another.
reload. No, you can. You can compare
I'm not
tanks.
saying that. I'm not saying that the Brams is better, or the Challenger is better than the Brams. I'm saying
it's
that
not.
it has the same weak.
Yeah, well, yeah, every tank at the
frontally-
top tier has the
frontally-
same weak spot frontally.
The Abrams and the Challenger are weaker than the Leopard and the T-64.
So listen, but this
Frontally.
is the difference. If I shoot the lower front plate on a Challenger, I hit an ammo rack and blow up the tank. If I shoot the lower front plate and I'm not dead center, I hit a fuel tank on the Abrams. And I might set him on fire, but he can still drive away, turn his turret, and shoot me back.
Maybe.
It's not maybe.
Well, I've won O-code, won it in KO'd plenty of Abrams hitting them in the lower.
Well,
front
yeah,
plate.
of course. I one-shot Abrams too. I'm
And
not
it's got
saying
a
that it's an
massive
overpowered
turret.
tank, but it
the
is.
biggest turret ring weak spot. But like there are elements of the Abrams that do make it like not the best in terms of protection. And if it's not the best in terms of protection, something else is the best in terms of protection. So you can argue that it's not the best in.
Well, yeah, but that's what makes it the best tank in the game because it has good protection. That is definitely formidable, top 2 at least. It has fastest
they are
reload.
always going to be the top.
I get you like the Chally, but like you put them side by side.
I'm not arguing that the Chally's better. I'm just
Okay.
saying it's got the same weak spots. I said that yesterday on stream.
But the Chally has
'Cause there
bigger
were
weak
people saying,
spots.
"Oh, Abrams is impossible to kill," and then
It's not. No, it's not. And I'm not
Chally,
saying that.
It's not at all.
You can't think that I'm saying
No.
that. Yeah.
Croc mentioned what I said yesterday, which I've just repeated. But it's not to qualify that the Challenger is better than the Abrams because that's not the case.
Well, no,
You can say
I
that
kill
instead
Abrams
of
all the
saying
time.
weak spot.
My favorite tank in the game is the Leopard 2A4. So me saying that to you right now, I think the best tank in the game is the Abrams. All around best tank in the game.
Well, that's why I asked. It's
You can make arguments for the Type
overall
90. The
tank
Type
in the game
90,
versus the lineup.
the thing where it draws back on the Type 90 is, yes, it has a really good reload and the best gun with the best penetration, but it only has 3 crew and it's squishy.
And you can shoot through the cheeks quite often.
Exactly. So the Abrams, while it has the same weak spots as the Chally, it's faster, so it beats out the Chally because it is faster than that. Leopard 2A4, it's faster than Leopard 2A4, and it's more survivable than Leopard 2A4. It also gets to carry more ammo. The Leopard, if you're trying to not get ammo racked, you have to carry 16 rounds. Whereas the Abram could carry 40, but if you carry less than 40, even the penetrating shots through your turret might not hit your ammo rack, and you're even more survivable that way. I usually
But
rock
tank for tank.
25 rounds in the Abrams.
In
It's like
terms
tank
of,
for tank.
I don't
It's
think
the best.
Yeah.
I don't think the best can be as simple as all-round performance, not all-round performance, but like the best stat card, like the fastest, best gun, this and that. Like lower tier vehicles could be argued to be the best tank in the game for the game, not for the performance.
For the
of vehicle.
tier, but
We're-
in
yeah,
the
we're talking
game,
about-
we're talking
Like
about
tier,
the
but
entire
then
game.
If you've got a best tank in every tier, then
Well, yeah,
how do
you
you
can.
qualify which tank is better than the other because you put them against each other.
The one that
Abrams-
kills it, the Abrams wins. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you could say like the KV220 is the best 5.7, in my opinion.
match for match performance, you know.
Yeah,
That's
but
what
I'm talking about in the game as a whole. Like the Abrams
Yeah, as a whole.
is the best tank. That's all I said.
But you're talking top tier. Cat's talking entirely like.
Well, how could you like if you took the
How do you
tanks from
quantify
low
that?
tier and fought them against each other, the Abrams would win against every
Well,
tier too.
yeah,
That's what
but
I'm
that's-
saying in the game.
You're talking about like tier for tier, like.
I
what's
understand
the best-
that, but that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're talking.
Examples.
specifically on
Say a person did far better in a Panther 2 every single game they ever played it than
Yeah.
they did in the Abramses. For that person, Panther 2 is better. So I don't think it's
Yeah,
as simple
but
as making
that's
sort of
not what I'm
flat out
saying.
statement. While I agree with you, I love the Brams. I like it. I don't think that it's as simple as just going, this is the best.
Well, that's dependent on the player, and now you're bringing a whole element into it. But theoretically, you take the same person who is excellent in any vehicle, they will do the best in the Abrams 9 times out of 10. That's the best tank of the game. It's going to be the easiest game for them. They're going to have the least resistance and the most to gain because of how good the tank is and how it's set up.
That's like what makes it the best, like survivability.
It's
or
the crew
just-
layout, the survivability, where the armor is, and then the speed and the how fast it shoots rounds, and then being able to carry a ton of ammo, so you don't have to worry about spamming it. It gets ESS and it gets 2 different smoke grenade launches, right?
Yeah.
It's just the only downside of the Abrams is when you have to turn the turret completely around and shoot over the engine deck. You can't. That is it. There's nothing else that holds it back compared to any other tank at the top tier. I mean, you could say like I like the T80. I love using it. I like playing it more than the Abrams, but the T80 gets one shot so much.
If
It's
you
so
expose
weak.
yourself to and
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
terms of your feet.
So
I prefer the T64 to the T80.
T64 is good too, but
It
it has the same weak spots.
It do, other than the UFP.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's all I was saying. It's like the Abrams is just the best tank, and I think so.
It's basically an academic discussion, semantics of whether you can say that one tank is categorically the best.
Well,
Isn't it?
so this
more than a disagreement.
we need not forget what this
statistically,
conversation stemmed from, and it was that repair cost. And so for somebody complaining about the Abrams repair cost being a bit high, and what I just said about how it's the best tank in the game, it should be high. It's the easiest, most forgiving top tier tank that you're going to play in the game. Something like a T80 is way cheaper to repair, but it also isn't as forgiving. If somebody catches your side because you're not paying attention, you're dead. It's the same thing with the Chally. It's a little bit more expensive because if you're hold down and you have a good 120 and you have a good shot, you can do a lot of damage. But as soon as you move, you risk dying. Same thing with any of these tanks, and that's how they try to balance the repair costs. I agree that they're probably not all 100% where they should be, but that's because people who play the game constantly don't make the repair cost. You know what I mean? We don't vote for what they would be.
What about repair costs going up with mod? Because that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
It's like detrimental. I mean, I guess. I think once the tank's spaded, it should change, and then it shouldn't change in between while you're grinding it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Like, with tanks being like the easiest and most survivable, and the argument with the Abrams being the easiest, whatever. The example I'd always say is, why is the 4.7 jumbo so good? Just easily, why it's one thing?
The turret, mantlet, front plate.
The armor's really good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think I brought this up last time. It's that for the trifecta of a vehicle, you have the firepower, the mobility, and the armor.
Mm-hmm.
The firepower and mobility are on the player's part to be effective.
Yes.
You use the mobility to get to a good spot. You use the firepower, use the gun, aim better, to actually make it work. But the armor, that's a passive
yeah, it's
bonus. And with the Abrams, it's so much more prevalent than it is on, say, the Type 90 or the Leopard.
Yeah, it's passively bounces shots for you. You don't have to actively... Yeah. You don't rely on your armor at top tier anyway. I don't go into an Abrams game thinking, hey, I'm going to bounce every shot in the game. It just so happens that while you're playing the game, shots don't kill you. Because of how the crew's set up and how and it feels so forgiving. Because there will be times when tanks that should kill you can't.
Yeah.
It's like if you got, say, a team of 12 of, I don't know, like below average players, you made every nation fight every nation. So an entire team of challengers versus entire team of two A4s, Abrams versus Type 90 or whatever. If you have but just below average players, the Abrams would beat every single team, I'm pretty sure, because its passive advantages that don't require a player to be good to receive the benefit are more prevalent on that tank, and that's why it works better.
But the passive benefit of frontal armor is better on the T64 than it is the Abrams.
No.
On the same...
You are going to get penned and disabled less often from the front in a T64 than you are in an Abrams. You're going to get, at most, from the front. Most of the time, from the front, you'll just get breached.
Let me play devil's advocate on that. The T64 is way slower and it can't back out of situations. So the passive armor that we're talking about has an effect multiplier from moving. If you're moving, it's harder to hit a tank and it's harder to hit a weak spot. The T64 are usually going to catch them stagnant, so you breach them. But the Abrams is usually going to be retreating as soon as he shoots, or he's going to be swinging his turret left and right. It's just something the T64 can't do. So all those things play a factor. If you turn the turret a certain angle and you hit a corner piece, just as well as I do, we play a lot of top tier, tanks bounce random shots like that, and the Abrams does it the best. So saying that the T64 has the best flat armor, if both tanks are stagnant and you're shooting at them like they're targets, yes, the Abrams has a huge weak spot on the turret ring. But when the Abrams starts moving, because it is so fast and it can go forward and backwards at such speeds, it doesn't really matter. I think it's way stronger.
Also, if you get penned with the 64, you're just dead.
Well, yeah, the T64 is it's a breach and then a side shot. That's if it's hold down, they're hard to kill. That's their big thing.
I find it's more at range that you struggle to get through a T64 and a T80.
Yeah, but
than it
I
is
think
Haldane.
why would you have like a sniping match in an Abrams against like a T-64 team?
Yeah,
They would
usually you
be
don't even have to.
rushing.
Usually you're behind them. You get to the side or something.
Yeah, like in that
Yeah.
situation, yeah, definitely the T-64 would probably win. But if the vehicle, people playing the vehicles normally, Abrams usually rush T-64s, they either rush and die or they usually camp, and that's probably where they work a little bit better. But yeah, using the vehicles to their strengths, the Abrams will.
Also, we talked about like future jets. How do you balance the M1A1 with its double blow up panel? Is that going to be possible, or because it has a chassis blow up panel and also has a turret blow up panel like the current one does?
From
So
what I understand,
theoretically, it can't be MR wrecked.
from what I understand, at least I don't play top tier that much, so I'm probably the least likely person to have a good the right opinion on this. Is that most of the time you knock out a tank in top tier by killing the crew and not by ammo wrecking.
Yeah.
If you're side
Don't
onto an Abrams, you'll have a better time, you have a more reliable time knocking them out, going for the crew than shooting the back of the turret. From what I've experienced, anyway. I don't know what you
It
guys.
depends the round you're using and like what's the situation, but usually you wouldn't want to shoot the ammo rack if they have 4 crew members in it. Like you might
The
not.
only thing, yeah, the only thing you really want to rack, if you can hit an ammo rack on an Abrams, you can hit all the turret crew in one shot.
Yeah,
And
you'd
that's a
have
lead
to
tank.
shoot. You have to shoot through the ammo rack and the crew compartment though. It can't go crew compartment then ammo rack because that's how the blow off panels work. So it's like you have to shoot through the ammo but still hit a crew member to cause a hole inside the firewall, I think, and it'll kill the entire crew. It'll just bring all the ammo into it and kill the turret. But
So let's say you just kill the gunner and the commander, and you hit the ammo rack, it wouldn't be ammo rack.
it depends what angle you're shooting at it from.
Okay.
But a constant ammo rack is the T-64s and the T-series tanks. Like those are constant
Yeah.
carousel ammo racks. That's what I shoot for. You don't really kill crew on that tank. But every other vehicle, I mean Leopard 2A4s, a lot of people still have not found out that you only carry 16 rounds in that thing, so you just shoot the lower right-hand side. Same thing on every single Leopard in the game.
Yep.
You ammo rack it.
That's a consistent problem that existed in the Leopards for a long,
Well, it
in,
still exists.
in
actually
a
exists.
real life development cycle.
Yep.
Well, it still exists to the A7 actually.
No, they've got protection on it now. It's
really,
not just an open rack anymore.
It still has like a frontal unprotected
It's
a
no, it's not. It's
blow-up
protected
panel
now.
ammo rack.
They've put
Yeah,
protection.
it's a wet ammo rack. It still doesn't have a blow up panel.
But yeah, it's it depends. But I think it is more crew member killage at top tier.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's also a lot of stunning people's movements, hitting engines and then your team finishing them off at top tier too. Is a lot of ways people die is because if they're moving through open fields and you might just miss by a couple inches, but you'll hit the engine or you'll hit the track and then they die to somebody else. That's more of like a crew related thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think another thing with the survivability, like something I just want to kind of bring up, is I know I've seen loads of posts of people saying, well, in real life, the Abrams, the turret's lower, there's no way a shot could get in and hit the ring. But for War Thunder, every single shell in the game is functionally a pixel
Yeah.
wide. So if they changed that, and every shell had the exact diameter it had in flight, I guess, those weak spots wouldn't nearly be as prevalent because the shell would hit like the roof, like the bottom of the turret or the top of the hull.
Like I'm pretty sure an
before hitting
Abrams
the actual
would
ring.
catch a shell underneath the turret. Like it wouldn't actually penetrate the turret ring. It would catch it the way it's shaped.
Yeah.
I mean, it would probably maybe damage the turret ring
Yeah.
and stop mobility, but that's not the same as penetrating and knocking every single person out.
Yeah.
Like Tiger 131 was disabled because a shell ricocheted off the other side of the barrel and went into the turret ring, and they couldn't turn the turret. So they got out. It didn't go through the turret ring and kill the turret. I mean, we're talking about Tiger, not an Abrams.
I didn't
but
say
you know,
it wasn't possible to kill a T-64 through the turret. I just said the way I shoot them is the carousel. You can pen them and kill, of course, in the turret. I mean, that's how it works. And there's certain shells at top tier, like the T-80 uses HE. Like, That's a completely
That is the
different.
best meme.
The
Best
way you
meme.
play that though is completely different than any other round of top tier. You shoot at lenses, like optic ports, lenses.
You hit the gunners up. You hit the gunners optic on an Abrams. Oh, there goes your crit.
Yeah, you hit the 20 mil on a ZSU and you one shot it. You know, you do stuff like that. You hit underneath the tank and knock it out. And
It's like
Yep.
what's weird is ZD called that out in the April Fool's event.
yeah, he was doing it. It's crazy. But you know, I think repair. So just to touch back on the repair cost, I think like
We moved away from that a
you
bit,
can't
didn't we?
really, yeah, you can't really 100% that issue, can you? You know what I mean? There's,
No.
I think that if they lowered repair cost, it would just help the good players even more, and if they raised it, it would just hurt the people who still don't know how to use it even more. You know, I think like
So it's kind of working then.
kind of, but not really. I still don't think you should run out of money like at any capacity. I've been staying around 200,000 SL, but I still play top tier the same way I've played it forever, and I'm still just not earning money, and that's fine because if I went down and played lower tiers, I'd make a ton of money.
That's the thing for me. Like coming from like World of Tanks, where you're always at a deficit if you're playing top tier all the time.
Yeah, World
Like-
of Tanks is extreme. Like it is at tier 10 you don't make money
You lose
at all.
100K a game. If,
Yeah.
like yeah, like
You pay
if
to
you're
play
playing
at top
well.
tier.
exactly. Like to me, like War Thunder does it pretty well. It's not ideal, but it's better than.
Yeah, it's better than being completely broke every time. Because, I mean, you think about it, in World of Tanks, you might have one top-tier tank. You might not be able to repair that. If that's the case.
If you're using all the consumables, you're using all like the, everything that you can, all the heat rounds or whatever, like
It's
you're
expensive,
losing money.
yeah.
every single-
You use gold and shit. It's expensive. And then in War Thunder, like, if you can't repair a tank, it's one vehicle of 600 you might have.
Also
Just
in
fly
War
some
Thunder,
planes
like,
and
exactly, yeah, just
make
fly
some money.
fly a premium plane, earn 100K a game, like it's that easy.
hmm
Yeah.
But I think War Thunder's been pretty fun as of late. I've been enjoying it. I like these new jets that they added. I think the patch is nice. I like most of the vehicles. Even though the Italian tree I still think needs a lot of fillers. It doesn't mean that it's a bad tree and it doesn't have potential. I think it's pretty...
It has good vehicles.
Yeah, I think the vehicles are good.
They're just lineups.
Yep. But that all happens with time, you know. You can't expect
Yep.
the patch to come out. And they added a lot this patch, to be fair, too. That wasn't just... Italy. They added an
Supersonic
entire
jets.
supersonic jets and air-to-air missiles that are guided with lock-ons, and you
To
know
be
it's
fair, that's a December patch, so it should be large.
yeah, it was, yeah, but you know that's why we can't expect all the Italian tanks to come out right now, and you know I'm sure there will be more fillers that they can add more. I haven't even seen a Panzer IV or a Tiger in the Italian tree. I was expecting to see it, so maybe
I
they'll do
was
that.
expecting to see Stugs and Panzer
Yeah,
IVs.
some-
A lot of them.
You never know. We might get some Panzer IVs, some Stugs, maybe a Puma or something. That'd be really cool. It'd be a nice mix-up of a tree. I'd have fun playing it, and I know that the
I'd like to see
Italians.
German vehicles in another tree.
Yeah.
Now to change it up, what do you guys think about child gambling?
Oh Jesus!
This is a good topic to get off of War Thunder. I'm sure everybody in chat has probably heard about this just because it's been everywhere. Everybody's talked about it. But some notable YouTubers in the past couple, I think it was the past week, have been promoting a child gambling site. Well, not necessarily a child gambling site, right? It's just a scam.
It's targeted at children.
It's just a scam gamble site where you open
Yeah, yeah.
boxes for different things.
I think it might just be sort of. It's kind of capitalizing on the whole loot box phase that everyone already hates.
Yes, yes. So that's what this
Real
website
world loot
did.
box.
And they offered these guys so much money that they didn't say no. Because
Yeah, I
they're-
think Paul's contract was like 300K or something like that.
that's insane. That's a lot of money, 300K. But that's also a lot of money to lose your morals when you're already a millionaire.
Yeah,
To lose your morals when you're already Jake Paul is quite a significant thing.
Yeah, but
to
this
be
is a bad one because even the way he responded was just kind of like, I don't care, which is scary for the future because if you're that reckless, I mean, this is real life now. People get really upset about child gambling. It's really not cool. And
you gotta like gambling in general, not just child gambling, but child gambling is like another level.
yeah, well, yeah, you could have a scummy gambling website, but then like promoting it directly to kids, not doing any research on it, especially when your audience is a kid, is like kids' audience. Because I don't watch Jake Paul. You You know, the
Yeah,
only
no.
people who do are children.
8 to 12. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Is that actually his demographic, 8 to 12?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
well, I mean, you don't watch him. I don't. I know none of us.
Yeah, it's like a child.
Yeah.
That's
He's
kind of the point, I guess.
yeah. So that's the point. He's a child with the bank of fucking
Who's acting like a child?
50-year-old CEO, and then like he's just being reckless, which is insane. It's insane.
To me,
To
like
say
the
the
larger point is like it just. Have you seen some of the prizes on that website? H3 pointed it out. Where
Yeah,
like,
the $250 million
$1 million
LA
house.
estate.
He's
Yo,
like, you can't even click this thing.
my favorite explanation from him though was he was like, "Yeah, good luck with your $20 million fucking property tax."
tax.
Like you wouldn't even think about that, but yeah, you're not getting money, you're getting a house.
I'm still not really a massive fan of H3, to be honest.
No?
He's just super disingenuous. It's like, just
I don't know.
they're only doing this all for money or whatever. He sacrificed, the humor and like the intellect of his content for doing podcasts, which get him like 20,000 or something like.
I think yeah, but
podcast or whatever.
you got to think about it. Like the dude was getting every single video demonetized. If your humor wasn't enjoyed by YouTube,
like,
he adapted and made content
YouTube
that he
attacked
could
him.
monetize. Yeah, YouTube did. He got demonetized a lot. So, I don't see that as like him shilling out. I actually just see him as adapting to the content and finding a niche that he can actually make. Really, they can monetize their content and still talk and have a community. You know what I mean?
I get that, but like on
Like
his
you gotta understand, like him, like Filthy
adverts.
Frank and iDubbbz, they get attacked by YouTube all the time. Like
Yeah,
all their
iDubbbz
content, they produce
gets
content.
demonetized. Well, I think
Yeah.
probably every single one of his videos is demonetized.
Anything they produce is gonna be demonetized just because YouTube hates those content creators. Like that whole like a niche.
Yeah,
So
Filthy
why
Frank.
wouldn't they try to go to?
It's the same thing with Filthy Frank. Like he stopped YouTubing and now he's making music, which is, another form of monetization. He took his audience and he found something else, adapted and grew off of it that he probably enjoys to do. You don't have to sit here and look at yellow demonetization things like, wow, I just got 2.6 million views on a video and a channel that I've worked mad hard for and I get zero money from that. Like that's a lot of
YouTube
money
didn't
they're
even-
taking away.
Yeah, YouTube didn't even promote it either. Like he
Imagine
kept
just
it
getting
demonetized, like,
$5,000 blows to your wallet every time you upload. Like that's insane. That's a lot of money. And sure, they have money from doing it before, like the couple videos that file through. But at the end of the day, everybody wants to be successful, right? I don't know.
I don't.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know, not me. You're like, I just want to eat hoagies.
It's crazy.
I want some hoagies. And I want a little beach chair in Rhode Island.
Doxing him live on
I
air,
just own a
dude?
single beach chair.
Just a
But,
single
like-
beach chair. That's it.
No, but seriously, like yeah, that's why. Like you look at the polls, you look at who else I promoted this website like
Rice Gum.
Rice Gum.
Yeah, so his response, I really don't think he's smart. I just really don't think he's smart at all.
I think he's smart.
No, I don't. I really don't.
Like deflecting is a pretty intelligent response.
Is
like,
it? It's pretty scummy to
It's
deflect.
scummy, but it's intelligent.
I don't know. Maybe.
It shines a light on the problem instead of yourself. Like
I know he snitched.
deflected. Yeah, he it's definitely a rat, but at the same
I
time,
like he was like, you don't mess with the slime, dude. He's like, he buries people in that slime. Yeah, that's I don't know, it's pretty scummy. But his response was just, I don't know which was worse, Jake Paul's or Rice Gum's. Obviously, a lot of assholes
Didn't
did
watch
it.
the responses. You only told me about this like half an hour before
Well,
the podcast.
all-
I just watched
yeah.
the next 3 videos.
All Jake Paul did was respond to H3H3 and was like, love the vid on Twitter. And then he said, you like promoting gambling to children? Okay. And he said, yes, love the vid with a heart. So that was his response. And Bryce made a video where he told about everybody else who made videos on the same thing, which they're all assholes too, and we just didn't know about it at the time. Don't think that we don't dislike that. Oh, at least for me, I definitely dislike them just as much. That's scummy as fuck. Like, you make slime videos, you're a fucking turd if you're making slime videos and then you're gonna promote this shit.
Yeah, you're only targeting children.
Exactly, you're only targeting children at that point. So like, yeah, they're assholes too, but just the way that they responded, and obviously they're going to be in the limelight. Everybody loves to hate Jake Paul and Rice Gum.
Yeah.
You got their big channels, huge channels that are in the like, you know, slime videos don't even pop up for normal people. Like we might click on a Rice Gum. I might click on a Rice Gum video every now and
I
then.
have never. I'm proud of it.
You know what I
the
mean?
only
But like, I
video
don't
I've
even
ever
see
watched, the
slime
Rice Gum
videos in my
response, so I
feed.
don't-
That's on like YouTube Kids. I feel like.
I feel like when you meet someone, they should screenshot like what's recommended to them on YouTube, and then you could judge them as a person. I think that'd be.
That's a fair point. I'm a fan of that.
I see
That's a
slime
nice
videos
move.
and you recommended. Like it's just we're not gonna talk.
See those really weird,
No, I doubt
creepy
Filthy
like
Frank.
nursery videos.
That guy who was rubbing the gummy rat. You ever see that?
Oh yeah,
That was weird.
Oof. I saw it through H3H. I wouldn't click on the video itself, but yeah, that was just. Ugh.
That's gross.
He's definitely a serial killer. Like not yet, maybe, but he'll become one. Just watch him, please.
Yeah, let's put a tight eye on him.
Just arrest him now. Just arrest him now. Save some
Just
lives.
lock him up.
Lock him up.
Lock him up.
Get him out of here.
Get him out of here.
Can I find the video? What's it called?
Oh man, it's a gummy rat. I'm sure it'll come up.
Yeah, that's it, I think.
Nice run for the QB. To the eye, we have a G-line, B-line, Pete Rat, Gumai, Candy.
Did you just like
His voice is
just
horrible.
listen to what that was? Like, what did he just say? What kind of tool is this? What do you ever use? This is not a normal. This is a killing tool. This is some shit you see in like the bone saw doctor's office. What is this?
Dude. See what's weird, dude, is like you know, my friends have kids because I'm old, but their kids watch this kind of stuff. Like they watch all like the toy reviews, they watch all the like the Lego videos. Like that's what kids watch. It weirds me out. And you have people out here like dissecting rats. They probably see this. It probably comes when they're recommended.
What did he say?
It freaks me out, man. Like,
We
it's
have
just
a
like,
Pete-
Jesus.
Like,
A Pete
Hey.
rat gumai candy.
I have kind of young cousins. They're like 7. These videos come up on their like iPad YouTube history, like those finger family like Hitler puppet things. Like that's on their history.
It's
And
autoplay,
it's-
right?
Do you see this? Like, just look at that.
And it's like, what's going on there? What's allowed that to occur?
It's the YouTube algorithm. Like it's just
Yeah.
they exploit it. Like these people know they. The whole like do you guys know about Elsa?
What? Sorry.
Yeah, the Elsa ones. Yeah.
Elsa Gate. Like,
Oh,
like
yeah, that's proper weird.
it's proper fucking.
What is he
weird.
doing with this fucking rat?
Giving
You
it a little
dissect it.
stroke.
My
If
Pete Rat
kids-
has a strong
Just
beauty
giving
it a
cord.
stroke, don't worry
A strong
I really don't like
beauty
this. I don't like this.
cord.
Giving it a
Oh,
little.
you-
Used to have nice
This is real
beauty
uncomfortable.
cord.
Like, but
Look at the tools he has.
Tough.
This guy really is a killer.
Nipe. Aw,
he's definitely a
I
serial
like
killer
my
for sure.
beauty
Not
cord.
maybe yet, but he'll
My
become
ties.
one.
Cutie. Could you ties eyeball? Could you ties eyeball? I wonder if Pete
his
Rat
European
has a
accent.
bra.
His eyes off, dude.
I wonder if
Cutting his
the
fucking eyes
if
off,
the
dude.
pet rat
eyes off.
has a brain. Like what?
Is this the guy that iDubbbz makes fun of when he does the European accent?
I don't know.
Asian
Not
boy.
sure.
This
It's not a
shit's-
good time.
He's got a
regardless of
scalpel.
what is-
and a fucking like
Mom, ba-dum, bum, bum, ba-na-na-na, ba-na-na, ma-na, ma, ma-na, ma-na,
Regardless, this is weird. So,
na-na-na-na, Piaki, Piaki, oh youth.
wow.
That's like medieval torture methods, dude. That's horrible.
Oh
Mind you,
wow.
This is recorded for kids. Like you'll only see this if you give like a kid YouTube. Isn't that weird?
Proper weird.
I feel weird now.
Fucking weird, dude.
I feel
Fucking weird, bro.
Fucking weird dog.
I feel so
I thought
weird.
we banned dude. Don't say dude anymore.
You bad dude.
Fucking weird, dude.
I fucking dissect the pet rat dude.
No, it's a
Just cut its fucking head open, mate.
Peite. What
I
was it?
wonder if the paid right has a price.
Like, who watches that? Like, be honest. Like, how many views does that have, Slick?
Too many. It has 13.8 million.
Well, that's probably
Kids-
from like the H3 bump.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
13.8 million views. It's enough for my dungeon.
Like look
without
at his
chain.
top comment that he posted. It's a hand emoji, a knife emoji, a rat emoji, and a brain emoji.
yeah. But who would watch that if there was no like H3 bump? Like, would people actually watch that? No. Dude, promoted
Somebody
kids.
goes, they did surgery on a rat.
All these videos get promoted to kids, and it's just like it's autoplay. They don't watch, they don't look up these videos. Just to play through the system.
This
Big
is
sad.
yeah.
That's a logical note to bring this to a conclusion on, I think.
Yep. I think it's a great time.
Perfect scary rat
Yeah.
time.
Are you gonna be streaming, Kath, or no?
Yar.
You are.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on Twitch.tv and find Cat Fower.
Hour.
There's gonna be horrific.
Hey, fireworks.
Let's go on Twitch. Where's Cat Fower? Cat
Hot far.
Fower. Then we found it.
King just up for almost 2 years, dude. Jesus Christ.
21 months. And meme as well. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. You're hosting odd.
I'm up. In a moment. I thought you were doing Tarkov though.
What?
I thought you were doing Tarkov.
Me? I'm gonna go play Tarkov.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna stream Tarkov.
No, probably not gonna stream it. I want to record. I'm working on like a big Tarkov video. I wanted to get into doing other content, but it's just been
Yeah.
a while. So I'm thinking about that.
You're thinking boot it.
I'm thinking about it. Is this you now?
Is it loading European
Yeah.
province?
Look at that. All right, guys. Well, it's been a fun stream.
Fun stream.
Fun day to the Angle Better podcast.
You get to watch me fuck with my camera for 5 minutes to try and get it work now that it's been on Discord.
Go mess with Kath's camera. I'm gonna close this and hit that host button. Thank you guys for stopping by. Pass over the
You can follow my
viewership.
DeviantArt, by the way.
Yeah, follow his DeviantArt. Follow Oxy on YouTube. He's releasing new videos. Is it out already, Oxy?
Kind of. A little. Needs to be a thumbnail and shit, but getting there.
Yeah.
All right.
Alright.
Go watch Kath play the worst tank in the game.
Worst tank in the game, dude.
Best tank in the game, dude.